The music department here at Richard Wright has gained some local attention, a look back on last week's homecoming events, and more information about National Bullying Prevention Month.
All that plus more right now on your latest installment of RWN, the right news, the right way.
Hello, Richard Wright, and welcome to this edition of RWN. That's Richard Wright News. I'm Emmanuel Charles.
And I'm Sharon Mazzo. Our very own music department and school choir were recently featured on WUSA 9. Let's go to Latea King on more on this week's top stories.
Hey, I'm Madam President Latea King here with Mr. Murray, head of our music department.
Under the direction of Mr. Roger Murray, the music department at Richard Wright PCS is growing each day. Students now have the opportunity to sing, play instruments, and travel around the city performing before live audiences. Mr. Murray hopes for the choir to gain more publicity outside of the building for themselves and for school.
I'm aware that the choir has been getting a lot of publicity lately. Can you tell us about our coverage with the WUSA 9 News?
Well, WUSA 9 News came to the school to visit us because they heard about our donors choose page that we constructed in hopes to get some donors to donate to our music department to help us get started to ultimately get to the place that we're trying to get to build the music department here at Richard Wright.
So with that, I heard there was a big opportunity for you guys on Friday. You want to talk about that too?
I think it was scheduled for Thursday. We were scheduled to go sing at the White House, but unfortunately that program got canceled, so we're waiting for a rescheduled date.
And I'm Madam President Latea King here with the head of our music department, Mr. Murray, closing for RWN News.
Thanks, Latea. October is a very important month for awareness. Not only is it Breast Cancer Awareness Month, but it's also Bullying Prevention Awareness Month. Monet Taylor has more in this story.
Every year, in the month of October, millions of people across the world come together to raise new organizations and create resources to help celebrate National Bully Prevention Awareness Month. The Pacers National Bullying Prevention Center initiated this nearly a decade ago. Since it began, the event has grown into an entire month of education and awareness activities and is being recognized by schools and communities throughout the world. Each year, there are hundreds of new initiatives that help promote unity and bridge the gap. So don't forget to stop the bullies. Remember to open your eyes, open your ears, and speak up. I'm Monet Taylor reporting for RWN.
This week's Foodie Friday segment, sports and entertainment news are all up next after the break. Stay tuned to RWN.
On the 100-man escort, Stephanie.
And this is Richard Wright Public Charter School's way of addressing the violence here. What they have are men and volunteers, women volunteers, walking these students home.
On August 31st, Richard Wright Public Charter School for Journalism and Media Arts hosted Man the Block. This groundbreaking Safe Passage program amassed more than 300 parents, volunteers, and civic organizational members. Leading the way with the Richard Wright Public Charter School were the men of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated, 100 Black Fathers, and the Honorable Man Campaign. As a result of this amazing support and the overall concern for an awareness of student safety in the District of Columbia, a total of 5 schools will be joining efforts to man the block on November 9th, 2015 at their respective schools during their dismissal times. Please join us as we man the block, part 2, on November 9th, 2015. Make a difference in a child's life. One mission, one voice, safe communities.
Welcome back to RWN, your trusted source for Spartan News. I'm Emmanuel Charles. Last week, I brought you Spanish. Now, this week, we're bringing the French segment back again with a special guest.
This is Mr. Aïssi. with the French moment. We learned today some words that adults use around the building. In the word of Dr. Clark, nous allons opérer de manière ordonnée. In the word of Mr. Young, nous ne négocions pas avec les terroristes. In the word of Mr. Goodman, frère, nous allons te suspendre pour 10 jours. And in the word of every teacher, fais ton devoir, sinon tu auras 55%. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you learned something today. See you next week.
Sorry, Mr. Aisi, but we cannot get jiggy with that.
Yeah, Mr. Aisi, do your homework. Yo no hablo francés. Anyway, let's go to Natalie and Nia with this week's Foodie Friday segment. Hey, ladies.
Hey guys, I'm Nia Downing. And I'm Natalie Davis. And this is Foodie Friday. Today we're going inside Good Stuff Eatery, sister restaurant of We the Pizza. Let's check it out. Good Stuff Eatery has been in D.C. ever since 2008. It is located at 303 Pennsylvania Avenue Southeast. They serve food items from burgers, fries, milkshakes, floats, and salads.
So Good Stuff Eatery, we do hamburgers, fries, and milkshakes. We like to do the nostalgic, food that everyone grew up eating, and we just like to have fun.
Their best-selling milkshake is their toasted marshmallow milkshake, and their best-selling burger is the President Obama burger.
Yeah, so we have 11 different milkshakes, and we also have a monthly milkshake. So we have toasted marshmallow, Milky Way malt, the black and white, a couple of real popular milkshakes. Really good. We buy very expensive vanilla extract, which adds a little bit of flavor and actually a lot of depth to the milkshake, the custard itself. And we use custard, not ice cream, so it's a little bit more thick and a little bit more rich. Really good.
So what are some of the signature burgers here?
So we have the President Obama burger, which is one of our best sellers. It's got blue cheese, red onion marmalade, bacon, and horseradish mayonnaise. The Coletti Smokehouse has barbecue sauce, some fried onion rings, bacon and cheddar cheese, and those two you can't beat.
So stop by and have a taste. It'll make you say, goodness gracious. I'm Nia Downing.
And I'm Natalie Davis.
And we are reporting for RWN.
Kyra Shade is back with this week's celebrity and pop culture news. What's poppin', Kyra?
Hey y'all, I'm Kyra Shade, and don't take it personal. This week was poppin' is beef. That's right, beef. Apparently Drake and Meek are still beefing and it's a bit worn out. Meek, take your L and keep it pushing, sir. We also have a few more haters that are upset because there are more black people in the cast of the new Star Wars. They're calling it an anti-white film. How can anything be anti-white in America? They tried it. Let us have our moment. Then there's Blac Chyna, who went and got a tattoo of Future's name on her hand. When Future was asked about the tattoo, he said, "Who's Blac Chyna?" That's all the shade. None of this seems to be bothering Sierra, who is a singer and dancer and also the baby mother of Future. She just bought in her 30th birthday with her new boyfriend, Russell Wilson, who threw her a surprise birthday. She had many guests: Beyonce, Kelly Rowland, Serena Williams, and even the new Batmobile from the upcoming movie. Speaking of Serena Williams, there's a rumor that she's pregnant. But that's just a rumor, so I'll get you all the tea next week. See you under the shade tree.
Welcome to the most talked about and the most popular segment at RW on the news. I'm Jaquan Jackson, and let's get right to it. Now, I gotta give a big up to the football team redeeming themselves from homecoming last year by blowing out Maryland Academy 36-0. Now, I really can't shout no players out because everybody did their thing on the field, and it's good. But if I have to, here are some people I know: Marquise, Latrell, Lante, Mayante, Jawan, Steptoe, Christian, and Johnny. They did what they had to do. Good job, guys. The NBA season is starting back up, y'all. And I'm so excited for it. Best sport out here. And it starts off with a bang from last year's playoffs between the Chicago Bulls versus the Cleveland Cavaliers and the defending champs, the Golden State Warriors versus the New Orleans Pelicans. Y'all know who won. You ain't gotta ask me. In NFL news, we got the NFC East slowly crashing and burning out of the league. They're horrible. With 3 out of the 4 teams with a losing record. And the whole division is up for grabs. Someone has to take control of it because everyone in that division sucks for real. But despite this, we have some happiness. Kirk Cousins and Dez Bryant are still pretty hyped.
You like that? You like that?
In last week's Jaquan Jinx, I went undefeated, 5-0, and that happened for the second time this year, and there's nothing better than winning, so I gotta keep my streak alive. So here are my picks. This week, I'm gonna take the Panthers over the Colts, Seahawks over the Cowboys, Giants over the Saints, and everybody know the biggest game of the week, Broncos versus Packers. And then, it's not an upset pick per se, but someone's gonna be upset when they lose the game because they both unbeaten. But I got the Broncos over the Packers. And I hope you enjoyed the show. Stay sexy.
Well, that's all we have today for RWN. See you next week. This is Sharon Mazzo.
And Emmanuel Charles signing off for RWN.
Happy Halloween, and as always, stay classy, Richard Wright.
I love taking care of my mom. It wasn't easy at first. She learned how to better communicate her needs.
And you learned how to not ignore yours.
I discovered how to make healthier meals.
And I discovered how much I enjoyed them.
Becoming a caregiver is a learning experience for everyone. Find articles, tips, and tools from experts and others who have been in your place. The Caregiving Resource Center at aarp.org/caregiving.
This is Chauncey Roscoe with your exclusive Elliott High Insight Report. Elliott High Network will join together with Tekniskt Centrum Järfälla, also known as ETC, in Stockholm, Sweden. ETC is a public vocational school that has courses in plumbing, carpentry, electricity, and computer technology. Sweden is officially a Scandinavian country in Northern Europe. It borders Finland and Norway, and is connected to Denmark by a bridge tunnel across the Øresund. Elliott High Network, Elliott High Radio Live 365, and Elliott High TV on Ustream will join together live via Skype from Stockholm, Sweden. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome the first global exchange interview with Elliott High Network, ETC, and the Ambassador of Sweden, Mr. Bjorn Leval.
Welcome to Elliott High Radio on Live 365.
Elliott High TV on Ustream and the District Knowledge Network.
I am your host, Naja.
I'm your host, Davion.
I'm your host, Joachim. And I'm your host, Christopher. Joining us as the guest on the show today is Ambassador Björn Lyvall. Our show topic is exploring Sweden through the eyes of Ambassador Lyvall.
Let me give you some background history on our guest.
Björn Lyvall is Ambassador of Sweden to the United States from 2007 until taking up his current position as in September 2013. Ambassador Lyvall was Director General for Political Affairs at Sweden's Ministry for Foreign Affairs in Stockholm.
From 2002 to 2007, Ambassador Lyvall was posted as Sweden's permanent representation to the European Union in Brussels. First, as Sweden's delegate to the enlargement negotiations, and then as Sweden's ambassador to the EU Political and Security Committee.
Ambassador Lyvall has also been working as special advisor to Sweden's Minister for Foreign Affairs, called this in his role as EU negotiator and international high representative in Bosnia and Herzegovina, as well as United Nations Special Envoy on the Balkans in 1999.
Additional diplomatic stations included Leningrad, Moscow, and London. Born in Hofer, Sweden in 1960, Björn Leval graduated from Stockholm University with a degree in political science, Eastern European affairs, and Russian. Björn Leval is married and has 3 children. He can be followed on Twitter at Björnly.
Ambassador Björn Lyvall, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you very much. This is a great honor for me. Pleasure to see you all.
Well, what do you miss from Sweden?
Well, first of all, let me say that I'm really grateful to be in the U.S. with my family. It's a great place to be, and of course, still, being here, tend to long for the snow and the cold winter sometimes. Believe it or not, but I'm an avid skier, and I like to be out there in the ski tracks. So that's something I sometimes think about. Of course, there's also some old friends and close family members back in Sweden, and of course we try to see them. We go back home for Christmas and summertime as well. So I actually live in the best of 2 worlds.
Who or what influenced you to graduate from Stockholm University with a degree in political science, Eastern European affairs, and Russian?
Well, I grew up in a not so big industrial city in Sweden called Borlänge, northwest of Stockholm, in the area of Dalarna, and sort of became interested in the world outside of this small town, and of course wanted to learn more about the world. And somehow at this time when I was studying, this was the height of the Cold War. What was going on in the Soviet Union at the time was really crucial. So I sort of got interested in this foreign affairs kind of thing, and decided to go for studies in Russian language and to try to learn more about the Soviet Union and to somehow make an impact there as well.
Do you think that you've changed as a person from living in the U.S.?
Yeah, I think, when you live in a new country, you always tend to be influenced from it. I actually spent a very formative year as a high school student in a small U.S. town called New Wilmington, Pennsylvania, western Pennsylvania. I was the only foreigner in town. This was back in the end of the 70s. Of course, that really influenced me to be there with my friends, driving around in a 4-wheel Chevy truck in the Amish country surrounding this community. But I think it's also something with this country, you know, people here have a greater sense of curiosity, optimism. People are, you know, they have this go-get-it mentality, which I really appreciate a lot. And if, to some extent, I've been influenced by the US, is to try to adapt some of these American features that I think are very great. Yeah.
All of Sweden's aid to the world is based on open government data. Talk to us about why transparency is imperative to ensure quality and accountability within the aid sector.
Oh, that's a very serious question. Absolutely. You know, we are one of the biggest donors, you know, of international aid in the world. Being a country of about 9.5 million people, still, Sweden is the country that has, you know, on top of the list of donors. 1% of our GDP goes to foreign international support programs. And of course, this is a lot of money. And frankly, there has been some cases when this money has not reached its destination. There has been corruption involved and so on and so forth. But there's a great need of transparency and to be opening up for scrutiny from media, from people who are sort of watching and looking into what this is all about. I think that gives more trust to the program. People will understand that we have nothing to hide. This is something that we are really doing in order to improve the situation for lots of simply very poor people around the world.
How do you spend your time when you're not working?
Well, I mean, I wish I would have more time to spend. It's a round-the-clock kind of thing to represent your country in this great country. You know, the United States is not only Washington, D.C., it's a huge continent, as a matter of fact. And of course, I travel a lot. I'm spending a lot of time out on the road. I like that. I really enjoy it. But of course, it would be great to have some more time with your family, frankly. I have, as you mentioned, I have my wife here and our 3 kids. I have a son in mid-school as well, middle school at Washington Episcopal School in the 6th grade, and our 2 daughters in high school. So I think, you know, whenever I have an opportunity, I try to play some sports with them. I've come to, you know, I have to do some training, running and stuff. And frankly, I also love to watch baseball.
Today, more than 300,000 jobs in the U.S. can be counted as a product of Swedish companies doing business within and with America. Swedish foreign investments, Swedish companies operating in the U.S., and American exports to Sweden are all making a large impact on the economy of the United States. How can young adults help with this partnership?
You know, the partnership is really important. It's the way that we strengthen our ties between my country, between Europe and the US. It's extremely important that we have this sort of trade and investment partnership. Sweden is, as I mentioned before, not a very big country, like 9.5 million people. Still, we are one of the bigger investors in the United States. As a matter of fact, Sweden is the biggest investor per capita in the US and the 12th largest investor. So there's a lot of things going on there. You said a number of jobs created by Swedish companies. I think what the young adults could do is to stay with it and to be engaged and interested in the business and the free trade issues. I mean, I think we are now currently working on a free trade agreement between the European Union, the European countries and the US. And this is something that I think will over time benefit very much those of you who are interested in business and who would you know, wish to work with international trade when you graduate.
Do you think there are any similarities between the Swedish and the American cultures?
Well, I mean, I think that there is you know, several layers here on this to this question. I mean, you could be serious, and you could say that, of course, we are 2 countries that where people cherish their independence, their freedom. We find it extremely important with the open society. So I think there are, and frankly, I mean, Swedes are very interested in the United States. That's at least my experience. I mean, for many reasons. One of the reasons being that lots of Swedes actually emigrated to the United States at the end of the 19th, early 20th century. I think 1/4 of the Swedish population left Sweden because of the poverty and the lack of freedom in Sweden at the time, and went to the United States to find a new life here. And we have currently some 5 million Americans of Swedish descent here in the country. And of course, that shows you, I mean, this was a place where Swedes wanted to be. And today, young Swedes, old Swedes for that matter as well, they watch American films, they listen to American music, they're interested in the United States, they travel here. So of course there's a lot of things going on here as far as the countries being close together, and that's something I experience every day, and it's an extremely positive thing to do.
The Bicentennial Swedish-American Exchange Fund is administered by the Swedish Institute in Stockholm and is intended for non-academic research or professional enrichment. Talk to us about the importance of becoming exposed to new cultures around the world.
Well, this is a globalized world. No one can sort of just stay back home in their own countries and live a life there without being affected by what's going on in other parts of the world. We all are extremely dependent on understanding what's triggering various behaviors from different cultures. This is a very difficult time when it comes to, for example, how terrorism is spreading around the world. And of course, to try to understand what is triggering these people, what is the background to their behavior, is something that requires some cultural awareness and understanding. So I think this is crucial for our way of working and living in today's societies, that you are engaged, trying to learn languages, trying to reach out, do what you're doing here today, have these exchanges, these conversations. This is really of key importance. So I cannot but sort of stress and underline the importance of what you're doing and of cultural exchange that you're now pursuing.
As an ambassador, what lesson have you learned as a leader along the way?
Well, what I've learned as an ambassador?
Yes.
Well, I mean, there are several things that you have to be very open to new meetings. You have to be open to engaging with people to try to understand what they are interested in and what they're all about. You are essentially also there to try to promote your country, to talk about what unites us, to deal with issues that are sometimes dividing us, and to try to put the relations on the right track, to explain your host country to your masters back home in Stockholm. In my case, I mean, I explained to Stockholm what's going on in American politics to the extent I understand it, and what's going on in our relationship. So when our ministers are coming here, that they are prepared for their visit to this country. I try to link up and work with the American society here, with the administration, and of course with the Congress, media, with the American public, going out in the country to meet also with business communities there. It's a job where you do a lot of representation, where you try to be the face of your country in this country.
In your opinion, why is Sweden one of the biggest export nations of music in the world?
Yeah, it's actually true. I mean, Sweden is the third largest exporters of music. We are after the US and the UK, and we have great producers who have been producing many of the top American stars as well, who have been in Stockholm being produced by these star producers and songwriters. Why is it like that? Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, there's one explanation could be that the music school, free for all, has been a very fertile ground for growing new musicians and songwriters and so on, and this has been a great asset. There is a certain tech savviness in Sweden. People are interested in new gadgets and new things and what's going on the cultural scene and so on, which I also believe has had a certain effect. You could also sort of find kind of weird explanations that this is a country up in the far north of Europe and it's pretty dark there, so people get involved working away in their cabinets and offices or whatever they do in their homes with their computers and with their songs, songwriting and so on, and that could also have affected this whole thing. But it's true. I mean, there is a great success story, this whole saga of Swedish pop music export in the world, and something that of course we are extremely happy and proud of.
Ambassador Björn Liva, thank you for being a guest on our show.
Thank you so much. Great being with you.
This broadcast is being brought to you by Elliot Hine Radio on Live 365.
Elliot Hine TV on Ustream.
And the District Knowledge Network. I am your host, Naja.
I'm your host, Christopher.
I'm your host, Davion.
I'm your host, Joachim.
Have a great day.
Have a great day.